Hey, Wranglers, it's been a while. Let me fill you in on what's been going on last year and this year, even though this year's relatively new. Last year, near the end of the year, I wasn't doing so well, so I didn't make as many videos, and um, I've had fans and people mention this to me. Well, let me tell you what was going on. Just a quick recap of the whole last year. In February, I had a stepson that committed suicide. We went to, I live in Georgia. We went to Indiana for the funeral. By the day we got back from Indiana and back here to Georgia, I had a stroke. I had what they call a significant stroke. That's basically put the left side of my body out of commission for a while. However, I've been doing my PT and my left side is coming back okay, and so is my left leg. I have weakness now, but that's about it with the stroke issues, weakness in the arm and the leg. Well, anyway, a couple months, I was in the hospital for quite a while recovering from the stroke. And I'm going to tell you the most unpleasant things about the hospital in a few minutes. And then, I don't know, I got out of the hospital finally after about 5 months. And then within about a month, I had a rupture in my stomach lining. And I had to go back in and have a cauterization surgery. They just stuck a thing down my throat and burned off the blood vessel that was causing me to bleed a lot. And I was in the hospital for about a week then. And so this has been, or probably a little more than that. So the weeks are adding up and it's going into months more or less. And then finally, yeah, I'm on the video.
Sorry, because
Oh, hang on, let me say hey, hey, Mike, come here.
okay, they gotta say hi to the world.
I gotta say hi, guys. How are
Is it?
you, Mr. Harlan? Hi. How you do? I love you too. Oh, there she is. Hey, love you. Let me get back to finishing this. So anyway, that was I had to say hi to some little kids in the family there. Um, so anyway, where were we? And then I went. I was doing okay for a while, and then one night I was sitting in October. I was sitting on the couch and I had eaten a sub sandwich, part of a sub sandwich, and I started puking. I didn't just puke up the food. I picked up blood, lots and lots of blood. I almost filled a Tupperware bowl full of blood. My wife took me to the ER, and I was carrying on and laughing, evidently, because I don't remember any of this. I remember her pulling up to the ER, and that's the last thing I remember. But she said I walked in, I had my Tupperware bowl of blood with me, sat down, and they were going to take me and look at me. And then I started throwing up again and more blood. And I kept telling them how they're going to basically fix me and I'm going to go home tonight. I'm not staying in the hospital. Long story short, they shipped me to a different hospital here in Georgia, a better one. And I was in there for about 2.5 weeks because I had a serious bleed out. My hemoglobin went very low. I could have passed, very possibly. And so I was in the hospital there for another 3 weeks or so. And during that time, I had a very strange dream that I talk about in one of my other videos. Basically, where I wasn't sure if I was coming back or not. And then, oh, okay, sorry about this. We got a lot of backup noise here. Anyway, uh, finally got out of the hospital. Then I had to kind of push my way out. They kept changing the landmark on me, and first they went, the hospital policy is if your hemoglobin is at 7, you can go home, and then each doctor wanted to raise it. They weren't communicating. Finally, one doctor wanted me at 7.8 before I went home, and I just said no. I don't have to take the treatment. I can go home, and I did. I got up and I left, and that's when I discovered when they were taking the IVs out of me, out of my arm and out of my neck. I was thinking I'd just leave and pull the IVs out because it's just a catheter and you not a needle. Well, the one in my arm had been sewn into my arm, and the one in my neck had been sewn into my neck. So these things were sewn into me, into my skin, so they would stay put. And I did need help getting those out and getting on the way. But That's not the worst part about being in the hospital. It could have been pretty bad. But first of all, when I went in for the stroke and the other things, they give you laxatives right away. And I don't need no laxatives when I'm laying in bed and I can't move and get up and I have to call for help. And depending on the floor I was on, they're like, well, we don't use bedpans or we don't use this. You have to be able to get up. And I'm like, well, I can't yet. Why did you move me here? Well, so I put a standing order, no laxatives next time I go into the hospital. I don't care if I back up or whatever. I know that's kind of gross, but no, I'm sorry. And all places just wanted to shovel, laxatives in me 2 or 3 times a day, and I finally just stopped taking them, and I didn't have to take those either. Patients' rights. I don't have to take that treatment, and I didn't take the treatment. I stopped taking the laxative. My life got a lot better while I was in the hospital. I can't say it was great, but it got better than it was. Ugh. But the worst thing at all is of all is that second bleed out I told you about, where I last thing I remember was going up to the ER. And then the thing I remember after that was waking up 3 or 4 days later with Jennifer, my wife, sitting by my side. And I didn't remember any of the time in between there. I guess I just technically was in a coma. That's when I had that weird dream. But during that coma time, or if you want to call it that, they took and they put a piece of damn plastic tubing up my butt, hard plastic tubing, so I would, shit into, excuse my language, into this bag, and all that. And I had, I woke up and within a couple of days, I said, you got to get this thing out of me because I couldn't move. I could feel the stabbing tube inside of me. And they finally took that out. And again, my life got a little bit better once they took it out and I stopped taking the laxatives. I started to feel a little more human after that. And then, but that's by far and away the worst part of being in the hospital is you just lose all of your dignity in these cases where, you have to have someone help you go to the bathroom or whatnot. But anyway, I get home from that and I'm doing regular blood tests to see where I'm at. And just recently I found out I have low platelets and all my blood work is low. So I've been dealing with a tremendous amount of fatigue and ability to concentrate. So that's why I haven't been doing a lot of videos. It's just really hard for me to concentrate and focus, and I'm exhausted. I'm usually ready to go to bed around 7 or 8 at night, and that's after getting up late in the morning. And it's been a rough road that I've been on. That's been my journey last year. So let's hopefully this year is going to be better. My New Year's resolutions for this year are not to have a plastic tube inserted in my butt, not to take a laxative, not to spend any more time in the hospital. These are small goals, but they're important to me. So, and if you went through what I went through, they'd be important to you too. Now, what was scary about this, the scariest thing was I used to be a police officer. That's not the scariest thing. And then I had friends in the military who were also police officers and all that. And they teach you a lot of mental toughness, how to endure things and prepare yourself to things mentally. Well, this was something I really couldn't prepare for mentally. It was so you have to get your mental toughness up after these things happen. And you try to, put on a brave face and endure it the best you can, knowing that you're, instead of facing an enemy that you can see and shoot back at or arrest or control or subdue or whatever, you've got this, your body's fighting against you, and there's not a hell of a lot you can do except rely on other people. I know that's that case in the military and police departments too, but I mean, this is a different kind of reliance. I mean, in some cases, you have a chance of fighting your way out of those situations. This, you can't fight. You don't know what to do. You just got to lay there and listen to the reports of your condition. And that's kind of what I went through. So, uh, with that part of it, so I couldn't really, uh, I did get myself mentally prepared and get myself mentally tough, but it was still one of those things where it can come at any time. It could happen. I could bleed out tonight, or whatever. So I got to be real careful and keep the meds under control and all that. So, well, guys, I don't want to ramble on too much longer, but if you got any questions about this, let me know and put the questions in the comments there. Also, I've been neglecting to say this: like and subscribe to the channel. And if you got friends, tell them to like and subscribe to the channel because I intend to not only to do a little bit of video blogging as I get better, and I'm going to play the guitar here pretty soon on screen, and you can see how far I've come with that, with my left hand recuperating. And so we'll be doing that in the future. I'll be doing some research in the future. So, hey, like and subscribe and hang on to the wild ride. I'll see you at the next roundup, Wranglers.